Welcome to the Winged Wheel Podcast. Here to talk all things hockey are your hosts, Brad Crisco, Ryan Hanna, and Evan Lobsinger.
So this is our episode where we have our interview with Darren McCarty. And there is one point where I was silently celebrating by punching the air and fist pumping and giving Brad the finger the entire time. I won't spoil why.
There's only one thing that could be, and everybody knows what it is immediately.
But it is the greatest victory I will ever have won against you in this podcast. You said, cancel the interview. Cut the interview.
Yeah, that was it. It was over. That was it. It was done. Don't worry. We'll get the next 4-time Stanley Cup champion we have on the podcast. I'm reasonably certain will side with me.
Yeah, it's just going to be Darren again, right?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. Like, in all likelihood, because A, we've planned it, and B, yeah.
I will hand deliver him the Reese's, and then he will flip to my side.
Yeah, that's fair. Welcome to the Winged Wheel Podcast. My name is Ryan Hanna.
I'm Brad Crisco.
I'm Evan. I'm tired again.
Can't help it, eh?
Sunday. Oh, wait, it's Monday.
It's Monday.
Yeah,
Monday, buddy.
this is even more of my reset day because yesterday was not. Today is my reset day where I get my life back on track, and I was not able to do that yet.
Did you fill yourself full of too much turkey and pumpkin pie?
We had turkey on Saturday, and then yesterday we had lamb. So I'm very meated out. I'm full of meat.
Evan's full of meat. October 14th, 2019. Evan, I am full of meat.
Yes, very much so.
A quick poll, ham or turkey?
Ham.
Which do I prefer?
Yeah.
Oh man, that's tough. If I have to have white meat, I'm a ham guy. But if I can get some dark meat from the turkey,
okay.
Get into that.
That's those are both the correct answers. So bad for radio because there's no argument here, but that's the correct answer.
If you want to keep going down Thanksgiving foods, I have a hot take.
Well, hold on. Before we get there.
And I bet you'll know what it is.
Turkey, as it's presented often, is dry and tasteless because people are A, scared of dark meat, and B, not real about how much work you need to put into turkey. But
discovering dark meat was the best thing I've ever done for my holiday experience.
So much better. It's like
you have to pay more at Swiss Chalet, no free ads, to get white meat. I don't know why. What kind of sadist do you need to be to order that?
If you're already eating at Swiss Chalet, you just take the food with more fat, right? Like you're like, I want this to taste as good as possible.
Yeah.
I'll have my lean meat at home. I'll go home and eat a can of tuna.
Exactly.
Anybody who's been bulking has done that. You don't have a lot of calories left for the day, or you've already eaten so many calories, but you need some more just lean protein.
I just eat a bag of chips instead because I hate myself.
Trail mix or almonds. That's where you get your dense calories, buddy.
Cereal, like those high, like really packed in, like all honey bunches of oats. Good for that.
I got a Costco-sized box of Vector on top of the fridge in case of emergency right now.
Sorry, I'm not made of money. Jeez, Vector.
Costco.
Yeah, you buy 3 things at Costco, no free ads, and my bill has like 4 zeros in it. I'm like, what did I get?
That's because everything there is industrial sized.
Yeah,
it's meant for a family of factory workers, all 400 of them.
The only company in the world that I would give free advertising to is Costco.
Thank God. Those $1.35 hot dogs and pops.
My God.
Yeah.
What's your hot take, Brad?
The worst dessert on the face of the earth is pumpkin pie.
Wow.
It's gross.
I don't get offended easily, but I am deeply offended by that.
I ate gross.
Guess how much of a pumpkin pie I ate yesterday? Use a percentage of a pie.
100.
I ate my family. There was 4 of us and a full pie. I ate 75% of a pumpkin pie.
Your poor mother didn't get a piece. Between you,
my mom
and
had 1 piece. I had 4, and the 4th one was just because that's what was left, and I was like, well, it's got to go in someone's mouth, and I crushed it.
Evan's trigger points: pumpkin pie and Alex Del Vecchio. Now we know.
Oh man, pumpkin pie. If you could inject it, I would.
I'm not I like pumpkin pie. I think it's pretty rich. I'm not so passionate about it where I'm going to be offended, but that's a hot take, Brad.
Even smothered in whipped cream. I had someone try to justify, yeah, but pumpkin pie with whipped cream, it's so good. I'm like, if you have to justify its flavor because of what you put on it, it's not good.
Homemade whipped cream, my mom made homemade whipped cream, takes it to another level.
Well, homemade whipped cream on anything would just be a win.
You can just eat it, which my father demonstrated.
I would rather just eat the whipped cream straight up than put it on the pie.
People aren't used to the food hot takes coming during the season.
Yeah, this is peak July content.
This is real Thanksgiving this weekend, though, so it's warranted.
All right, look, I'm a big fan of Canadian Thanksgiving. I like when it happens because it also allows us to enjoy American Thanksgiving. Big bonus today. There's football. There's a Lions game on both Thanksgiving. Thank you to the NFL schedulers for that one. Very smart.
And the Bills actually get an American Thanksgiving game this year.
Don't they most years?
No, never. Ever. I've never watched one in my adult life, and we get the Cowboys this year.
Oh. Well, that's good because they just lost to the Jets.
Yeah, so we got hope, buddy.
Yeah, you do. This episode on the Winged Wheel podcast, we're going to talk about the Red Wings and their games, some specifics about their players in Detroit, their players in Grand Rapids, and of course, we're going to get to our interview with Darren McCarty. I first want to start by mentioning that this episode of the Winged Wheel podcast, of course, is brought to you by Labatt Blue and Labatt Blue Light. Celebrate with Labatt Blue and the Detroit Red Wings all season long. Find your specially designed cases of Labatt Blue and Labatt Blue Light at your local retailer to hashtag Selly with Labatt Blue, especially when Zadina puts an absolute bomb into the back of the net with pure frustration. That was like a hardest shot competition. The way to celebrate that goal is with Labatt Blue. Labatt Blue and Labatt Blue Light, official Canadian beers of the Detroit Red Wings on this Canadian Thanksgiving with your favorite Canadian Detroit Red Wings talking heads. The Detroit Red Wings. I don't want to say it's been bad hockey because it's been...
Well, they beat Montreal
they beat
30
Montreal.
minutes after recording our last episode.
That was great. That was awesome to watch. I think that was the exact kind of game. When they win, that's exactly how they're going to win.
That was it first win in regulation win in Montreal since 2007.
Yeah. Chris Chelios was still on the team, I believe.
Oh, God. Oh,
yeah,
wow.
Like that was the person on the picture was Chris Chelios.
That was the 07-08 season, right?
Yeah.
So do you know who would have been on the team that year, too?
Nick Lidstrom.
Darren McCarty.
Pavel Datsyuk. Darren McCarty. That was the greatest... No, 2002 is the greatest team assembled in the modern era in my mind. Yeah, that game was a really big highlight into a lot of things. First of all, the first big window into how well Abdelkader, De La Rose, and Helm are doing. Tyler Bertuzzi scored. Anthony Mantha scored his 6th, of course. Luke Glendening put in a 200-footer while falling down into the empty net to seal the deal.
That's what true goal scorers do, Ryan.
So remember, Luke Glendening has 3 goals. He has bomb into an empty net, absolute snipe high glove side, or some kind of backhand in tight. There's nothing else.
He's doing it.
Those are the 3.
Do what you're good at.
He's already got 2 goals. Anthony Mantha scored his 6th, and that was in his 4th game. Bertuzzi and Larkin connected for a goal as well. Darren Helm scored. It was a great all-around effort from Detroit, and the one thing I mentioned at the end of it was if Detroit's going to win games, this is how they have to do it. Can't just be Bertuzzi, Larkin, Mantha line scoring all the time. It has to be all of them contributing together, or the whole team contributing up and down the lineup. Danny DeKeyser played a great game in my mind. Filip Hronek played a great game. Cholowski had a really good game.
Filip Hronek's going to be a star.
Yes. It's to the point now where you hear people who aren't Red Wings people talking about Filip Hronek. Like he's
a lot.
Yeah.
It's not just I see his name in passing on this outlet or that website or this TV talking head. No. Everybody's all in on Filip Hronek right now, and it's wonderful.
Oh yeah. I think we mentioned not too long ago. Like, is he Detroit's best defenseman?
Yes. Is that even up for debate at this point? DeKeyser's making a case because I still think DeKeyser's a little better defensively than Hronek. Not by a ton, but I'll give him the edge there. But it's those 2 and then everybody else.
I'm so happy that DeKeyser's continuing his strong play. Very, very happy with that.
Makes that contract much more easy to digest.
Yeah. You know what?
You know how he's playing better? Because in the weekly conversations we see floating around the internet about the worst contracts on the Red Wings, how they're going to get rid of Abdelkader's contract or Nielsen or whoever, you don't see DeKeyser mention that anymore.
No.
He's not in those conversations.
It's very stomachable. One, the cap has gone up, so it's less offensive now, seeing that number. And 2, like you mentioned before, DeKeyser's one of the only players who's locked up with any kind of term on this team. And if he continues to improve or at least regress back to the mean, then yeah, absolutely. Like, whatever. Your team is always going to have a couple guys that are going to be overpaid. Obviously, the Red Wings have more than a couple. But if one of them is actually contributing, then he's hardly your biggest concern. Now, Justin Abdelkader is playing there's been no shortage of criticism of Justin Abdelkader anywhere, and especially on this podcast.
This week the game on Saturday was the first time I've sent a positive tweet about Justin Abdelkader in. I honestly don't know, and he fully deserves it.
He absolutely does. That's the thing. Like, this isn't a fluke. He's not just playing with a really good line mate. He's not just accidentally on the ice for goals. Like, you look at the underlying analytics and you look at his actual play, like you deploy the eye test. Justin Abdelkader is playing really great hockey. Now, I think this is twofold. One, his deployment is smarter. They're not asking him to play top 6 minutes anymore. They've placed him with Helm and De La Rose. He has a very clear objective on the ice. He's shutting down other teams' lines. Now, in the loss to Toronto, Tavares, Marner, Kadri, because he doesn't play on the team anymore, Matthews, they were all shut down. You guys didn't laugh at my stupid joke. What are you even here for?
That was a joke?
Yeah.
There was a joke in there?
Oh, God. No, but the superstars for Toronto were pretty much invisible. I think they had just as much opportunity, if not less, than Larkin, Bertuzzi, Mantha did. They were not factors in that game. Toronto's depth and talent down the lineup is what won them the game.
Clearly.
Yeah, but...
Yeah, like, I didn't even... Like, Kadri was just invisible.
That's a joke.
It was... Evidence is,
Yeah,
evidence
but
the same
his
joke.
was delivered. Yours was just in this strange passing.
That's how I...
It wasn't good.
Yeah, I know, man.
It's okay. You can recover.
It's okay. Do you know how many whiffs I've had on this podcast, Ryan? You got it. We're just, like, balancing out here, man.
I thought you said wife's at first. I was like, just one, right?
I'm still leading in that category.
Yes, you are. Evan?
I have no.
No, Justin Abdelkader is legitimately playing great hockey. His deployment, like I mentioned, is one part of it, but two, he's changed something in his game. He's not trying to be something he's not. You know where he's really effective? Below the red line. He's doing a lot of great work behind the opponent's net. I remember 2 goals distinctly that came directly because of his work behind the net, winning a puck battle, getting the puck around a guy using physicality and his good stick work, which we haven't seen lately with Justin Abdelkader over the past couple of years. And he made either a great pass to the slot to Helm. Like, it was like Abdelkader to Helm in the slot, so obviously that's going to be buried, but that's what happened. Or he got it back to the point where it was a point shot from
to Kaiser. Beautiful backhand drag.
And then, yeah.
And then Helm buried the rebound.
Yeah, that's the kind of stuff that you want to see from Justin Abdelkader, and truly, we didn't think it was possible.
Well, at some point, you got to realize your shelf life in the NHL is dwindling, and you make the decision, do I want to continue to play, and how can I be effective in the NHL and remain on a roster? And clearly he's evolving his game in a manner to remain on an NHL team in some capacity, and good for him. He's not going to light the world on fire. He's going to play a very vanilla type game, but if that's what he can excel at, then good on him.
The episode after the home opener, we were talking about how the Red Wings bottom 9 was just a continuous series of chip and chases. Mm-hmm. And for the most part, they still are. Now that Athanasiou is back, the second line has some carry-ins. The thing that the fourth line has done well is they figured out how to turn that chip and chase into an actual effective forechecking.
Well, someone's got to go get the puck.
Yeah, and they're doing it, and they're doing it well. They all play well off this cycle, and they've been rewarded for it. Do I think this is sustainable? No, absolutely
not.
Yeah,
they're not going to average 5 points a night.
This is a 2.5, 3 game sample size. This isn't anything to proclaim that Justin Abdelkader's back, baby. But it's a positive sign that he's capable of doing it. Now here's the thing. Abdelkader, Helm, and De La Rose are 3 defensive specialists. So if we continue to see them shut down the other team's top lines like they did Toronto and Montreal, and the offense completely dries up, I'm still very okay with that result. Oh. I don't think this offense is going to continue. This is, by and large, a fluke. They are not going to get this many high-danger chances again. They've been gifted a couple lucky ones off turnovers, so it kind of skews the numbers a little bit. But
Ollie doesn't like your take.
No, but if they keep playing the defense they're playing, I'm still very okay with this. It's the fourth line. It's an expensive fourth line, but we'll ignore that for now. It's an effective fourth line because you have the speed in Helm, the all-around game of De La Rose, and if Abdelkader can refine his cycle game, the air quotations grit quotient, good. This is what they need to do, and I'm here for it. Don't ever break them up. If this is your fourth line, rotate guys in and out on the third line then. It's fine. This isn't going to... And again, we're talking about a season that I don't think that line makes or breaks this season for them, but hell, it helps the defensemen, it helps the goaltenders, it helps the other lines. Because if Dylan Larkin can get a couple shifts away from a Sidney Crosby in a game against Pittsburgh, or a couple shifts away from a John Tavares against Toronto, it's not just the fourth line that's benefiting the fourth line. By playing like this, they benefit the first and second line.
It sets up your teammates for success.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And like I'm going to spoil one thing. Darren said on the interview, people don't want to play Detroit right now. And I think that there's a lot of truth to the fact that you can't just get shelled every night and be okay as a team. It sucks. It sucks if you're a veteran that's used to winning, and it sucks if you're a young guy who's trying to develop. So being able to stay competitive in games by having your fourth line do the hard work and then have your first line light it up, that's great for the team. Now DeKeyser can actually do something besides be hemmed in his own zone. Now Hirona can set up in his office on the left side that Ovechkin spot without worried about being burned because the puck's in the other end. Like, it does so much to have lines that are actually capable of doing what they're doing.
Well, a couple lines.
It's honestly, Brad, that's 2 more lines than we had had last season.
Yeah, 2 out of 4 ain't bad.
No,
it's not good. It ain't bad.
Things are. Look, I know I'm getting ahead of myself, and I'm not making any long-term declarations because I'm not saying the grind line of the future is Abdelkader, Helm, De La Rose. No, by no means is that going to be anything permanent 5 years from now, of course. But you have a first line that's solid. You have a fourth line that does what it's supposed to do. You have a first pairing, although those are mixing up. They're playing a lot of Hirona Cholowski, which I'm here for. But your defense are starting to produce and kind of play really good defense for the first time in a while. That's the kind of thing you need to take shape. Is it going to start translating into wins in 2019? No, of course not. It's still going to be a tougher season. Like we saw the Toronto game, they did a good job of shutting down the superstars, but it was still an altogether kind of crummy game. But that's the kind of thing that you have to figure out now, because when it comes time to turn the corner on this rebuild, that stuff has to be in place. Those systems have to be in place. That kind of team chemistry has to be in place.
The nice thing when you look at this team right now is it's not going to be a points night where the other team come in our building or we go into theirs and they just roll us. They're going to have to at least play somewhat decent hockey to beat this team. And so that's encouraging.
No, but like it's funny because it's sad, but at the same time, like it's true.
We're still going to get rolled a lot. And, players will regress and move to their means, and it is what it is. But, right now we're showing that teams still have to play some hockey to get points on us. And Saturday was definitely an illustration of that.
We talked a lot about, what does success look like for the Red Wings this season? What does a realistic but good season look like?
I'd say right now, this season has been a success.
Exactly.
If we ended the season right now, we've seen the emergence of Mantha and the continuation of Bertuzzi and Larkin moving more towards a leadership role, and we've seen the development of our fourth line. God help us. And Hronek and Cholowski have taken a big step forward. So if the season was over today, I'd say we're moving in the right direction.
Asterisk, it's been 5 games.
Yeah.
Stop, Brad. Stop spoiling the fun. No, legitimately, all of this comes with the qualifier of...
it's an 82-game season. We're a super young team, at least where our talent lies. It's going to still be a grind, and we're still going to get rolled on some back-to-backs.
Yeah, because that second line hasn't produced the way we hoped it were, and if we're being honest, that third line's just a mess.
You know what?
If we had no problems with this team, we wouldn't be talking about lottery picks.
This is true, but the reason I mentioned the third line being a mess is because I have a bone to pick, because I was very, very, very complimentary of Jeff Blashill last episode, so then I have to keep him to task when he does something stupid.
Okay.
Remember the theories about how Svechnikov was only up to hold a roster spot and collect a paycheck until the weekend Grand Rapids games came around, and he'd play either in Detroit or Grand Rapids? Yeah, you all were wrong. He hasn't played. This is dumb.
You were the only one who said that.
No, that's what people, when I tweeted about it and said, this is stupid, everybody tweeted back at me, no, this is what's happening. Yeah, no, that didn't happen. Evgeny Svechnikov hasn't played a game in almost a week and a half. This is stupid. There's no good reason for it unless he's injured, and they're not telling us.
He is injured. He's recovering from ACL surgery.
Yeah. That's why he played all preseason in the first Grand Rapids game.
He had to. He's auditioning.
Yeah. This is, if it's not that, this is dumb. And it leads to my third line thing. You're telling me that he couldn't have helped that line in the last 2 games?
I think Blashill saw that team, won against Dallas, won against Montreal, and he didn't want to spoil a good thing. I'm not agreeing with him, but I'm just giving you what he was thinking. I think...
Then call up Matt Ford or somebody. Jesus.
No, he's busy on that line with Veleno and Zadina.
Hey, they got a goal now.
They do. We'll talk about that.
Question. No, we'll talk about it later. I'll ask the question later.
The great thing about that fourth line is, you look at their Corsi at the end of the game, and their Corsi 4 is like one game, like the Corsi 4 for Larkin, Bertuzzi, Mantha was like 58.73, which is good. The Abdelkader De La Rose Helm was 60.
Abdelkader's like, I didn't know it could go that high.
Like they were legitimately suppressing the other team's opportunities really well.
Yeah, they also do take a ton of shots from the outside, so that number's a touch skewed, but they are crashing the net, so they're getting some rebounds off of it.
Right,
but
yeah.
Those are plays that don't work at the frequency they've been working.
The one game their expected goals was pretty high, and I was just like, that's obviously not going to happen every game with guys at this talent level. But the other game, it like worked out as expected. Their expected goals was low, but they kept the other team's Corsi opportunities low.
And repeat, if this is their MO, I'm happy.
Yeah.
I'm very okay with it.
What it boils down to, Brad, is the biggest thing is, don't get too hung up on this happening all season. Obviously it's not, no line is going to be this effective all season. But we see that it can happen, and we thought that was lost with Abdelkader. It's like in 300 when that whole spear throw just to show that Xerxes could bleed. Like, we show that this, the worst version of Justin Abdelkader has a chance of fading away, and he can actually make himself into an effective player. Whatever he's done in the offseason and whatever he's doing right now, he needs to keep doing. Something changed in him, whether it's just the deployment or he worked with a certain skills coach or he worked on his skating or whatever it is. Something changed, and it's been effective. And that it's been 5 games, we know. But like Evan mentioned, if the season ended today, you would think that the Red Wings have moved in the right direction.
At the end of the day, who cares really if Justin Abdelkader has another stinker of a year? What does it matter? We're not winning right now anyway.
There's literally a 0-loss situation here.
Yeah.
It was going to be a net neutral at worst, so it's nice to see it in the positives.
It's very hard to say positive things when we're going to be probably a lottery team. So having some things we can be positive about, we should highlight them when we can.
Yeah, and it makes it fun. We always say enjoy the wins. It makes it fun when any given night you can go in and battle and grind out a win. I think that's a blast. Like, Mantha tees one up all of a sudden and it's you're winning 3-2, or Abdelkader dekes out 3 players behind the net, puts it into the slot to Helm. Like, that's the kind of stuff that you don't get a lot of when the team isn't clicking and it's not a high talent team. So the fact that you can get that any given night, whatever. What's the quote in football? Any given Sunday, that kind of thing.
That's the quote, or is that the movie?
Yes,
both.
Oh.
That's how it feels right now for the Red Wings. Any given day. It's less...
Game day.
Any given game day.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll think of something better. What was your bone to pick? You said you were going to get to something. Let's get to it.
I already picked my bone. My other thing is when you brought up Zadina. I just had a question about Zadina's goal.
Oh, yeah.
If there wasn't a net in the way, would that puck have went through the boards?
100%. For those of you who haven't seen it, just open Twitter and it should be the first 6 things on your feed. We tweeted it out. GR Griffin's Nest also tweeted it out. Basically, there was an offensive opportunity. The puck bounced around the crease a little bit. It came out into the slot just as Zadina was
coming into the zone.
Oh, it was basically like the hardest shot competition in the NHL, except there was a goalie in the way.
Yeah,
you wouldn't have known it.
He skated in as fast as he could from the blue line and blew one by him.
I went to AHL TV and went frame by frame, and I still can't see the puck after he shot it. I can see when he shot it, and I can see after it was in.
You didn't see the puck. You just sensed the anger in that puck flying through the air.
There was a great disturbance in the force.
If he can't pick the corners, he's may as well just put everything he can into it and blow one by somebody.
He put that one right in the top corner on the high glove side. Even if he put that one center of the goalie's chest, I think that thing is still going in.
I was going to say, do we not want to check the goalie's chest? There's a good chance it just went through his chest cavity and came out the other side and we haven't noticed.
Ryan, don't be ridiculous. A puck can't travel through a goalie. It would have hit the goalie, and the puck and the goalie would have went into the net.
Look,
that's true. That's one of Newton's laws.
It's true. That's the 4th one, right?
There isn't a 4th one. There's only 3.
There is now.
Evan exists to murder my jokes. God is real, and Evan. Jeez, don't hang out with good looking people because they'll just kind of remind you of all the crappy things about yourself, like how I'm not funny. No, that Zadina goal was legitimately months of goalless frustration, just outlet it into one shot. You even saw as he was celebrating. He tilted his head up and went, "Thank God."
Because he didn't score in any of the development camp games. He did not score in Traverse City. He did not score in the preseason. He did not score in the Griffins opener. This dude
which had like 8 goals.
So counting preseason and scrimmages, he hadn't scored yet.
He was your goal scorer. That is not good.
No.
That was an 0-4 to end all offers.
Look, he had a good prospect tournament. He had like 5 or 6 primary assists or something.
I think he led the tournament in assists, if I'm not mistaken.
So Zadina and Patrick Laine, same path this year?
Yeah, Laine is what, 3rd in the league in scoring right now?
Yeah, almost all of those points are assists.
Fine.
Yeah. No,
good players adapt. Adapt or die, Billy Bean.
Yeah, Zadina, it was good for him to get that one. Obviously, he handled himself well in interviews, but you could see the frustration on the ice. So it's nice to kind of open that one up and hopefully the floodgates start for him. This, in my mind, does need to be his season to step up. This is about that time where players from his draft class, if you're going to be part of the bulk that makes the NHL, this is the year where you make the NHL or you do what you need to do to make the NHL. So
there's 68 games in the AHL per season?
I don't know off the top of my head.
Okay, well let's say there is. He's on pace for 34.
That's all right. We'll take that. There's some minor Red Wings news as we were recording the Darren McCarty interview, so we'll get to that before we actually cut to the interview.
Alex Biega is playing tomorrow for the Red Wings on a pair with Dennis Cholowski against the Vancouver Canucks.
It's nice of them to put him in against his
former team.
Yeah,
it's nice they're actually letting Cholowski play in Vancouver this time as well.
I knew that was coming.
Yeah, that's fun. That's going to be a motivated pairing.
It really will be. I hope this is just like Cholowski's. It's just as special as if he got to play last year.
Cholowski's going to have a goal exactly like Zadina's.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
He's just going to walk into one.
No, it's good because Cholowski's from the area, for those of you who don't know, and Biega was traded from Vancouver, and he was a fan favorite there. He's very similar to what Joe Hicketts is to Detroit, so it's good that they'll be on a pairing together. It's nice that Blashill's... He might be doing it for hockey reasons, which he should be, but it's nice that they're being paired together. I think it's a fun little thing in an otherwise maybe stinker of a season. So
I'm assuming Eriksson and Daly aren't ready to go, and Madison Bowie hasn't been good, so I'm fine with this.
I maintain. I'm not sure Eriksson will be good to go again.
Nah.
Vancouver is Tuesday night, 10 p.m. Eastern, because it's a West Coast game.
Oh, I got practice at 8. That works out so well.
The next game or the next podcast we have will be Wednesday or Thursday, but the Calgary game, because they're on a West Coast or a Canadian road swing, is at 9 p.m. So we'll be recording that episode before the Calgary game. So only one episode or one game before next episode.
I think it's safe to say we'll probably go Thursday because I don't think we'll go 2 days between episodes.
Yeah, that's true. Right. Forgot Canadian Thanksgiving.
It's Monday, Ryan.
It's second Sunday.
Sunday, the sequel.
Last thing I want to talk about. Hiroshi Athanasiou, Glendening. I think Glendening has looked good. I think that line needs to be a little bit more defensively responsible. I think they've been pretty poor defensively. A lot of the lapses that have come not from defensemen have come from that line specifically. Basically Detroit's middle six is what's hurting right now.
Maybe Athanasiou should be a winger.
Shocker.
Is that the easiest way to fix it right now? Just flip to center on that line?
I mean, you could literally just flip Athanasiou and Glendening.
I would maybe try to... Well, okay, here's the thing. That line is effective when they're effective because Glendening is just doing whatever's asked of him. I think Hiroshi and Athanasiou do have some natural chemistry. They've both not been perfect. Athanasiou was hurt to start the season. Hiroshi is still within his first 20 games as a pro.
He's a rookie.
Yeah. So that's going to take some time.
Athanasiou he had a breakaway against Montreal, so he's still getting his chances. They've had their moments. They've been by no means notable, though. Or it's almost like they're rusty and a rookie.
Yeah. I mean, Glendening has been notable.
It's the worst buddy cop movie ever, but anyways.
I think Glendening's legitimately been one of the best players for this team. Yeah. I can't get over how good that guy's been.
He's an athlete.
Absolutely he is. No, they've not been great, but again, it's 5 games, so you won't hold it against them too much. I think the biggest thing, is just get Athanasiou back to wing. I know they're only doing it because they have to right now.
They don't. They have a centerman on his line.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's dumb.
I'm trying to find reasons here, but maybe I
Sometimes things just don't make sense.
No.
But if they did, we'd have nothing to talk about.
Okay, would flipping Glendening to center be any better? Because then you're putting a lot of offensive responsibility on him, right? Like, is that actually...
Well, just like Glendening eat up the defensive zone and let the wingers kind of roam a little bit.
Well, Glendening is great because his puck retrieval, his work in cycling the puck, his work off of like in puck battles that's where he finds a lot of value, and his defensive responsibility is good. But that line as a whole, I'm trying to pull up their Corsi here. Yeah, not great. Relative Corsi, geez. Relative Corsi of -20 matched. Or sorry, relative Corsi of -31.45%. Not good. For example, Bertuzzi Larkamantha has had positive 28.7. And this is the Toronto game.
Gross.
And Abdelkader De La Rose Helm had positive 10, essentially. So you can see the vast difference there.
Well, something's got to change.
It will. I'm worrying. I worry that either the top line or the fourth line are going to change in Blashill's blender, but again, 5 games, you're going to see different combinations no matter what. So I guess it's time to see what comes next.
We're in the experimentation phase of this team's trajectory to winning at some point down the road.
It's the sandbox.
Tinker away, whatever.
It's the sandbox here.
You've watched The Simpsons, right?
Mm-hmm.
You remember that episode where Mrs. Krabappel showed Homer and Marge Bart's cone of ignorance? That's the Red Wings middle six right now.
It is. That's a great way of putting it. That's better than any analytics could. That's a better demonstration than any analytics could give you. Let's just cut to the Darren McCarty interview. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. This is our first time, definitely not the last time, interviewing Darren McCarty. It was an absolute blast for all of us. You can see very quickly that he's an excellent interview. Great guy to talk to, and we're pumped to meet up with him again. Tune in and enjoy. Welcome to the Winged Wheel Podcast. This is a very exciting interview. This is the most Stanley Cups we've ever had in one interview. 4-time Stanley Cup winner and your favorite grinder, Darren McCarty. Thank you so much for joining us today, man.
What's up, fellas? Absolute honor. I love what you guys are doing, and thanks for thinking of me.
Yeah, appreciate it. And right back at you. Your hosting a grind time is absolutely phenomenal. We were just talking about before the show your interview with Drapes was great because, you know, he introduced himself as the director of amateur scouting, and then you just blew right past it and had him open up it back in your time together with the Red Wings. So what you're doing is awesome as well.
Well, I think that's, you know, also too, grind time with Darren McCarty. I tape a new episode every Wednesday, and, you know, not only do I have conversations with former teammates, like you said, Chris Draper, Chris Osgood have been on, but, you know, all different music, comedians, all different stuff, and it's just sort of things that I like. So if you're a fan of mine and or if you're a fan of some of these other people, I encourage people to do that. And the one thing with I'd ask you this, because I found it very intriguing, is the way that Chris Draper broke down drafting Maurice Sider at number 1, the thought process and everything that goes behind it. I think that was very educational to when you watch the draft table and there's phones being picked up, that it's really, there's something going on last minute, and there's decisions that have to be made on the fly. Everything's not in place, you know? So I thought that was something that people could check out if they want to get a little insight. So I enjoyed it.
So when Drapes was talking to you about that draft process, what difference was there? Like, is that a wildly different process than what you guys experienced when you were playing, when you got drafted, or when your teammates got drafted? Does it feel like it's more involved now?
Yeah, I think because the game is so much more global, and it's so much more, you know, back when I was drafted in 92, I got drafted as the 19-year-old. I was the first 19-year-old to go 46 overall to Detroit. So the things are different back then. I remember the interview process. The one thing that I found intriguing is that Drapes said that they asked when they come interview, say, I'll talk to you. And Moritz Seider was the only guy that every team interviewed, so that's a little interesting behind the scenes that he was on everybody's radar. That too, and Drape saying that he was over and he was going to catch a game in Germany and like in, the dog days of the season or whatever. And he thought he didn't have any Red Wing stuff on. He thought he was just going to slide in. And there's 7 other teams that were there for the Division 2. So nobody slides under the radar anymore. I tell everybody out there, if you're good enough, you will be seen, right? There's no more hiding Holmstroms in Northern Sweden or Datsuks or, getting the Lidstroms in the 3rd round. Like, that's just not going to happen. So the difference is that it just comes down to, there's a lot of talent available. What are you going to build? And I think that when you look at the Detroit Red Wings, having Steve Yzerman come back, the culture, it's just culture means the way that it's done. And you look at the young guys, you look at the Larkin, the, Bertuzzi, Mantha, Anthony, Roenick. And then you look at that line of De La Rose, Helm, and Abdelkader right now. As they're producing some points and playing good hockey. So that's guys are competing for jobs, and it's tough. It's going to be tough because they're going to lose games like they did at home against Anaheim, and unfortunately, like they did against Toronto. But they're going to going to Montreal and win. They're going to be in every game, and when they learn how to be consistent, then they'll be dangerous. So nobody wants to play this team. Don't get it twisted. Nobody wants to play the Detroit Red Wings because they're up and comers and they're unpredictable.
Circling back to your junior career, Darren, just because looking at your stats here when you were with Belleville, you said you were an overage in the draft because that year you absolutely dummied the OHL, 127 points, 177 penalty minutes. What I want to know is, at what point in your career, in your junior career, did you realize what type of role you would have to take on to make the NHL? Did you know you wanted to be a grinder? Was that always the way you played? With the stats you were putting up on Belleville, obviously the offense was there. Where was your mindset at around that time?
When I moved away from home when I was 16 and played junior B, the biggest influence in my career was a guy named Brian Drum in Peterborough, because he played in the minor pros and he was coaching the team, and I moved in with him, and they pretty much said, if you want to make it to the NHL, you have to do one thing better than 99.9% of the rest of everybody. And for me, it wasn't going to be scoring, it was going to be playing physical. So, if I wanted, and I didn't mind it. I found that I was actually good at it and enjoyed it. And so it was always the same. If you look at the same, it's a simple recipe back in the day because the game was different. And first year in every league, you just fight, and then you're always working in practice, and you're always doing extra ice, and you're always working on your skills, and you're always doing skating camps, and you're doing all that little stuff on your own and when you have to, but you got to put up the reputation early. Like even in junior B, I was drafted 4th round of Belleville, and then my first year in Belleville, I fought and I had 12 goals, and then that gave me room for my next year. I had 30 goals and 150 penalty minutes, and then the last year I won Player of the Year with 55 goals, like you said, 127 points and 177 penalty minutes. So I was either on the ice or in the box, and just the confidence level that I knew I had to do it. I went up to Adirondack and I had 45 majors, was scoring like 19 goals or 17 goals. And then I did the same thing. If you look at my fight, so it was a pretty simple for a guy like me. And then looking at being in Detroit, it was the perfect opportunity because Proby was there, but they needed somebody else. And Marty Lapointe was, too valuable, needed him to score where he wasn't really that much a fighter. He was a physical guy, but you needed him to play top 6 minutes. And like Kenny Holland asked me when I in my draft interview, what would you do to be Detroit Red Wing? And I said anything. So I would do anything it took to play. You know, I got to think about it, guys. I mean, it's like you're from Windsor and you guys are from Kitchener. I'm from Leamington. And I grew up cheering for the Wings because I was a huge Tiger fan, and I hated my cousins who were all Toronto fans and my buddies who were Montreal fans. So jokes on all of them when I brought the cup home myself with the Stanley Cup clinching goal and told them all to suck it.
All right, now that you brought up the Stanley Cup.
You know I did.
Oh, that's the best thing that ever happened to Leamington, Ontario.
Dude, that was so, but you know what, that was, and this was back, when the old rink was in Leamington, so that was just like, you know, the Boston Gardens of its day, and I was able to bring the cup back, and I was able to skate around. That was really cool to be able to skate around Leamington rink that I grew up on, you know, they'd let me in the door. I lived a mile down the road. They let me in at like 6:30, and all the guys around the rink let me skate before school, and I was always down there. So that meant a lot to me, just to be able to give it back, you know, just to say thank you to everybody, you know, because it takes a community to raise a kid, and for me, that's no different.
Now, you mentioned your Stanley Cup winning goal there, and I've seen a few interviews with you about what was going through your mind after the goal. What I want to know is, as a guy who played your role, what was going through your mind when you were skating through the neutral zone? Did you know what you were about to pull off?
Bro. No, come on, man. Come on, let's call it like it is. It's the end of the shift. Now, like, one thing is that playing with the grind line, what made it so valuable is I'd start with them and end with them, but I'd always play with Stevie in the middle, no matter who it was. All the years we sort of won the cup, Scotty would always move me around, and depending what it was. But I remember it was like the end of the shift, and I remember because I'm right wing, so I'm coming through the middle. Vladdy takes the hit, it goes up to Sandstrom, and I remember seeing those guys change because it's sort of through my peripheral where the bench was. I got the puck, and I see, I don't know what's mean at the time, but I see one guy back, and I'm like, all right, dump it in, get off. And I went to dump it in, and it sort of fucked, you know, it just like, I don't know. I say that, you know, Darren McCarty went to dump it in. God decided that here's your Mary the Mew moment. And next thing I know, I remember like going, oh my God, I got him beat. And then seeing that, you know, text all flying out at me. And I got it to about, you know, less than a meter between me and the empty net. And, I see the reason why I scored. I said, please don't miss the net. And it went in. So, but no, I was, and that's all muscle memories from going to Sweden in the summertime for a month, skate with 8, 9, and 10-year-olds, 11-year-olds, letting them dangle me and doing these summer training camps, 95, 96 with a guy named Thomas Storm. So, you know, that's my Swedish, that's all the Swedish I got in me.
Darren, I want to take it back to when you first got to Detroit. Who was the guy who kind of took you under the wing and taught you the pro game? And who was the type of guy when you walked in the room, you're like, holy shit, this is X player? Who are those two guys?
Well, the holy shit was Stevie, obviously, but Paul Coffey. You know, like Paul Coffey was holy shit. And then, you know what, like Proby, Sheldon Kennedy, I mean, they were great. Steve Chason, who I knew, but the one that always has until this day, no matter what, has been Dino Ciccarelli. So he's always been like a sort of big brother, and through a friend of mine, I can honestly say since like 1992. And you know, what a great guy. Plus, I get away with talking to him like he doesn't take the way I talk to him by anybody else. So I feel pretty special that he takes the shit that I give him, because that's just the way the locker room works. So, but you know, we a great team. But Stevie was always, and it always was. And then I'll tell you how it grows is because it's amazing. Then you get on the ice and you see like Fedorov, and then you see when all the Russians came and you practice against them. Nick Lidstrom just never ever made a mistake. You play against Chris Pronger and Rob Niedermeyer and be happy you didn't have to go against Nick Lidstrom in practice, because Nick used to just embarrass you by doing that handcuff drill that he'd stick that stick into your hands and then you'd go limp. I mean, and he'd laugh at you, and he'd just continue to do it. I mean, look at the guys we practiced against. So games are easy for us.
Well, that's how you ended up scoring that goal in '97. It's because you had to go against Nick Lidstrom. So coming in on Yanni Niedermeyer must have seemed easy.
Yeah, I was because thought it was Nick Lidstrom, because every time I go down, the best play I can do is dump it in, but he usually knocks it out of the air anyway, and I get yelled at. So, I mean, you can't win with these guys.
So you were mentioning a lot of the crew when you first got into Detroit was with Proby and Kennedy, and that's just a crazy group of guys. So my favorite story to hear from most players in your position is, what is the best chirp you heard on the ice?
Oh, God. This is the best one ever. And God rest his soul, Sean Burr, right? And you got to remember, this is in the 90s, too, so I don't know if it's politically correct or I don't really care, but Sean Burr's, and everybody remembers Sean Burr, number 11. We used to call him Skippy. Actually, Proby named him Skippy because it was always like that. Proby thought the dog's name was Skippy that used to jump over top of big dog. Hey, Spike, 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 Bursey, that's you. Just shout it, always, right? So Bursey, but he could hit, and he was quick, and he'd run around and just hammer guys. So we're in St. Louis one night, and he's running all around. So Kelly chases one of their tough guys, and he comes out, and it's in front of the bench, and lines up against Burr, and he's slash, crotch. Come on, Bursey, we're going, Burr, we're going. Fight, run around, we're fighting out. And Bursey looks at him and goes, no, not. He goes, can I swear?
Yep, definitely. Yeah, go for it.
Oh, okay, yeah, because he's sitting there and he's going, what do you mean no? He goes, no, not. He goes, fuck you, Burr, quick, what are you running around all night, whatever, I'm going to fight you, and we're going right now. Pause drops, we're going, and Brady stands for the bench. He goes, no, not fighting you. He goes, Burr, you don't fight me now. I'm going to fucking find you at the bar after the game and fucking beat your ass then. Brady looks at him and goes, nah, that'll never happen. Chase is all fucking ready. But what are you fucking talking about? He goes, I don't hang out at gay bars.
Oh.
The linesman, his whole team, the whole guy. If I remember correctly, I think Chase took a penalty and we scored the power play. But right in front of everybody, that it just, when you get the linesman and both teams laughing, like that was back in 93 or 4, that was funny.
Yeah, that's when you're looking for the trap door to get out of there.
Oh, dude, no, that was just freaking great. That was just great. Chase didn't know what to do. You guys, you especially in hockey back then, if you called somebody like you're, the guys you're testing their machoism or something.
Yep.
So, given that you brought up Kelly Chase and stories of 90s hockey, I'm going to completely transition this here, but I want to hear your perspective on this, because obviously the NHL game, the way it's played today, is night and day different from the 1990s. In your opinion, what's better about the game today and what's worse about the game today?
Talent, speed is better. Respect is absolutely horse shit. Respect for one another. And when you're worried, listen, it's all a sports. I grew up hit with your head down in the middle. You could be mad at that defenseman, but fuck, it's your own fault. Same as in football. Now they get the guy who hits you, they find him, and they make him out to be the biggest fucking criminal in all sports. So it's soft. There's no accountability. Guys don't respect each other because they don't have to. But the talent, I mean, they really need to expand the ice and make it bigger.
Do you think there's a
European? I think if they made it a little bit bigger. It's a different game. But it's also too is that hardly anybody could play the rules these days. Just like most of these guys probably couldn't play the old school game because you get in a 7-game series, you're probably down half your team. There's some guys that could handle it, just like anything else, but the game's changed. Speed is the old size. Remember the old size used to be, if you had size, didn't matter how good you were, somebody could do something with you. Well, it's the same thing with guys with speed now. The guy with speed is going to float around the NHL, whether he deserves to, because he's fast enough, because that's the way the game is. I'm just glad that I didn't have to try to make the NHL now. I thought it was 10 years too late, but no, I got in there right on time, obviously.
Do you think there's a way for the modern game to get back that respect that we saw, basically up until the early 2000s?
Well, I don't know. It starts, but it starts with, because the whole thing, it's not about the enforcer to stand up. It's about policing. There's so many different reasons why you get in a fight, and if you allow the guys that do that, the whole premise is if I'll send it's like playing, I don't know, like the video games. I'll send my destroyers out, you send your destroyers out. That way our women don't have to, get involved. It's sort of like a chess match within the game to keep it regulated. But, the game's refereed differently, so.
Darren, I'm going to bring it back to
I don't
what every listener thinks about. Well, they think about two things. One, that cup-winning goal, which you should gloat about at every given opportunity. But second, the story that everyone recounts when they talk about Darren McCarty and the grind line, which is the two incidents involving the Colorado Avalanche. That has to be the greatest rivalry in hockey history, and then possibly the greatest player-player, or at least set of player rivalries. What was like that? What was different about that situation in terms of the actual, hatred or the actual passion and emotion behind the moment?
Well, that was, that my friend was life. That was way beyond, because it's I don't care. Things happen in life, things happen in sports. That that you regret or that have, but you have to have respect for your fellow human being. The biggest thing, obviously, hit him from behind and stuff. But what Claude Muse said, you wouldn't have heard of Chris Draper if this didn't happen, and he didn't apologize. That's taken a little far, bro, because that's the whole that people don't realize. I do this slapstick comedy tour. I travel around telling these stories and doing comedy. And people, do you realize that not only was my centerman, it's my best friend. I'm the best man in this guy's wedding. I'm, he's, for lack of a better term, like a bigger brother to me, and that happens. And I have 10 months to think about what I can do. Oh my God, you don't, driving me insane. So until I finally, at beginning of March, I tell everybody, I said, feel free to use this because I have a good relationship with the Lord, obviously, to get where I am. But at the beginning of March, I prayed and I just said, I can't handle this anymore. Just whatever happens, please let me be the messenger. So do you think he listened or not? Because not only did I get the revenge, break it down and how it happened, right? Igor Larionov has had enough of Peter Forsberg, and I was on the ice. And I knew Lemieux was on the ice, and I was just waiting for the opportunity. And then the way that it played out, that's all upstairs. And if that's the way that it played out, and the fact that the biggest thing of that game though is the fact that I got the revenge and I scored the overtime winner, because the biggest thing was winning the game. And it proved in hindsight, because of psychology, because what we were able to do because of that. I tell everybody at the end of that game, after winning that game, because of everything that happened, it wasn't just the team, it wasn't the building, it wasn't the state, the country, the world, and the universe, whatever, Red Wing Nation, everywhere was a proverbial sigh of relief. It's going to be all right. I don't know what it means. that's the same thing that I felt watching Steve Yzerman get announced as the GM. It's going to be all right. That's the same sort of thing. And, it's one of those things that it's just my heart virtues, vulnerable truth of integrity. And I can't let that, that is so wrong on so many levels that frankly, that's the best way that it could have turned out in anything. Because then I didn't have to do anything really stupid. And I only got 4 minutes for it. So I didn't even get a major. That's the thing I'm pissed about. I had my career 127 goals, 129 fights. That's a 4 minute and a 10. Now, I'm not arguing because I came back and scored the overtime winner, but I'm just saying. A little short of the personals.
You talked a lot on Grind Time about, especially with Drapes. I heard you mention a lot about how the Red Wings, that team, a lot of that success came because you guys were like a family. It was like a brotherhood. How much of that was the case before you were able to, as you said, deliver the Lord's message? And how much was that solidified afterwards? Like, did you guys really just come together as a family after that moment? Was that like the shining moment for you guys?
Well, you know what? It doesn't. It's a subtle thing. It's a feeling. It's not like rah-rah. It's like in the Rush Patrick, it says, yeah, it was like family. It just takes you to another level like you've been through. And because, look, we built up, we lost to, having those teams, the President's Cup teams, losing to Jersey. We've gone through, if they say you have to lose to learn how to win. This was the culmination of climbing the mountain. We didn't know that, but it just it was all like we all got, this whole feeling around not just us, everybody. And then when the going got tough, we could all each other. And it was like that on and off the ice, and it still is. I mean, that's the one thing Stevie always said, no matter which one, is that we'll always have this to share. And, anytime we all get together, that's all we talk about is different stupid shit that we used to do. And I'm usually one that gets picked on. So you guys all the Red Wings fans should be sending me like some chocolate or something to say thank you for allowing Steve to come back, because I'm his bitch and he's not going to be nice to me anymore. So I know I'm sacrificing for the rest of you, so I'm still sacrificing.
We appreciate that.
We all got to do our part. No, we all got to do our part. You guys got to do the podcast. I got to sacrifice.
We're all in this together as Red Wings Nation.
That's what it is, bro. And that's the whole thing. We are all in it together. And it's like one of those things is that we're in a great position to watch the growth, but it's, there's going to be some growing pains along the way, but it's getting exciting again. And it feels down at the rink, it feels exciting, around everywhere. So I do a lot of stuff with the PR and the marketing, and it's awesome. Couldn't be happier with what this team is about. And the best part is because of the culture, and the culture is about the people involved, and they're all a good bunch of kids.
Yeah, definitely.
That's important. And that's important. There's not an asshole in the bunch, and that's where it starts.
Yeah, what other similarities do you see between this growing core that the Red Wings have now and sort of the teams that the Red Wings had prior to winning the Stanley Cup in the 90s?
Well, you see, it's almost like the role defined, and then you can't win in this league without a great 1-2 punch or it's got to be some sort of, how in baseball they say if you're strong up the middle, meaning pitcher, catcher, second, short, center fielder, that's sort of where they make it. In hockey, you try to do it, you start it up the middle, and with your centerman, you look at the centerman that they have. I love the fact that I heard Paul Wood say that what they did, and you see it because people want to see it in goals and assists and stuff. No. What they did when they got Phil back and Valtteri Filppula, and then Adam Ernie and that Patrick Nemeth, they're problem solvers, which means they plug holes. And that's what you need. You got to almost like figure out what you don't have, but it's like defense and it's that all around game that you need. And you need the role players like that. I say to everybody, I'm going to sort of perk up and get excited. And if there's a move made for that number 1D or that goaltender, I don't expect it any this year, but in the next year or so, because that'll determine, if some pieces get moved around. I think right now you got guys competing at a high level and, still learning. So, I mean, the Grand Rapids team is phenomenal to watch too. I mean, that's the whole thing, is that you got guys that are close in the minors too. You can see, you got to be excited because you can see this team sort of, developing.
All right, Darren, we have some questions from some of our listeners here. We picked out some of the good ones. From Garrett TV, he says, "Hey, DMAC, how do you feel about the current implementation of video replay in coaches' challenges? Is it a necessary evil, or do you think it undermines the spirit of the game?"
Well, it's unfortunate because I think Calgary would have liked that back in 2006 or 4 or whatever, when the game 6, when that Jalina goal went across the line, but it didn't. So I don't know. If you're gonna do it, just do it right. Don't do what the NFL is doing. They pretty much said we'll implement where you can challenge pass interference, but we're never calling one. No matter how ridiculous it is. So the thing, I get it, because some of these offside calls, the guys split and stuff, but it is the rule. And at least more so that they get it right in hockey with the replay. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's if they're not calling that goal, it's because they can't see it over the line, so it seems like they've move the cameras or done it so you don't hear as much of a controversy. That's not nearly near the top of my list about issues I have with the game. I don't have an issue with that. That's fine.
Matthew Tangsrud says, who is the hardest Red Wing? I think you already said this with Lidstrom. And who is the hardest non-Red Wing to play against?
Yeah, it just had a lot of battles against Prager. And I had a lot of respect for Prager too, because we battled even when he was in Peterborough and the O, and then obviously St. Louis and Anaheim. He was always tough. Back in the day, any of those like big guys like Ken Danico and like Kevin Stevens, like guys were like men. And they could grab you up front of the net, and then literally, it'd be like when you're like 12 or 14, you thought you're tough until you're and then you stepped up and your dad or your uncle gave you the man strength on you.
You go into that
man strength, yeah.
You go into that next league, right? And everybody's got beards and they're 18.
They got that next level. It's like I asked Corey Schlesinger. We were doing an autograph show the other day, and Corey Schlesinger was a fullback for the Lions. He blocked for Barry Sanders. And I asked him, was there anybody out there? He said, listen, he said 2 things. He said, what his first year in the league, he late hit, blocked Deion Sanders, and Deion Sanders gets up. He goes, hey, Rook, what are you doing? He goes, I'll never get a chance to touch you, bro. And he's like, oh, I can respect that. And then he said, Reggie White, he said he was never supposed to be in position to block Reggie White, but something happened. And thank God the play was over, because Reggie White put his hands on him. And he said, literally, I'm 245 pounds, and he was going to toss me like a sack of potatoes. That's old school, though.
On the same lines, Max Smash from Reddit says, what player that you fought would you love another crack at? And that might be a gimme answer, actually.
Ooh, that's a good one. I like to play Jamal Myers again.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
That was not who I expected you'd say.
No? Who'd you think I'd say?
Anyone from Colorado.
That'd be somebody smaller than me. What? Anybody from Colorado? No, man. I mean, what, you want me to beat up Colorado guys again? And then my boy, hey, I'm not going to fight the sheriff, Scott Parker. Get the hell out of here. He's too big. You know, I mean, you know, thank God Cy was gone. So didn't have to fight him. So, I mean, I'm good with the Colorado guys.
Oh, Darren, if you want someone smaller than you, this is only the first part. We now have to bring you chocolates, which means our next interview we'll meet up in Detroit to record in person, and we'll put a bucket on Brad. He's pretty small, so you can go beat the shit out of him.
Nice. Nice. That's okay, but I get paid to do that shit. So I mean, I don't get paid enough anymore. That's what I tell everybody. Either that, or you get 3 shots and either knock me out or kill me, and then it's my turn. And you never get a punch. You'll never get a punch off, bro. I've only had one guy ever in history actually try to take a swing. I had to lay him out, and I said, "Oh, dude, off the ice."
What? That guy's a fool.
I'm not gonna let you hit me. You're gonna cock, and I swing on you, and knock you out, and then tell you I'm sorry, I'm a liar. Girls and boys. That's all happened once.
You know what? That's pretty good.
It only needs to happen once.
Yeah. Everyone took note after that one time.
It didn't really need to happen either. That was the whole point. And you know, when you usually get somebody to conversation, then they realize how stupid they are.
Darren, I want to. This might be it's going to be an easy but a tough question to answer. Can you give us a little bit of an insight into your relationship with Chris Draper? Obviously, everybody knows you two are part of the grind line together with Kirk Maltby, and Drapes was one of the guys who, helped you get back into hockey. What does Chris Draper mean to you?
Well, I mean, he always had. He's like we said, is that it was always me, him, and Ozzy, and he was always the responsible one, and I was always the one that made sure nobody got messed with, and Drapes was the one that always got yelled at, and Ozzy was always the one that got away with stuff. But Drapes, it was always since, early on, it was just we were roommates. So, you get to really know somebody, and obviously when you play on a line, but when you're on a team, and obviously I always busted his spec because he'd always give me crap because when he was in Ottawa, he beat us out in Belleville the one year, and so Drapes is one that'll always hold whatever he can over your head, but he's just a solid human being, he's one of those guys that has the same friends that he grew up with in his, name that go around, and they're all the same quality people. That's the one thing with Drapes, is that he just always surrounds himself with the best people. I didn't, and that's where, it's always like if I just follow his lead, good things happen. So, he always tried his best to keep me out of trouble, or to try to, I was always, my worst enemy, and he'd always do the best to thwart me on that. And, he'd kept me out of trouble a lot of times. So I just think over time is that it's like brothers. We're like brothers, and, sometimes it's like family. Sometimes you're not happy with what the family does, but it doesn't mean that there's not love there. And a lot of times too is that it's tough love that I realize that they have to back away when I'm in a certain place. But when I'm ready to come back around, then they're there to support. So we don't. There's going to be no more of that. But I'm tired of doing that shit. So. I'm in a good place now, and it's through help of Drapes, especially coming back to win that 4th cup and do it with those guys. And then just, now in life, sometimes people don't be afraid. You gotta, I always say it's that look in the mirror and that self-awareness of are you be honest with yourself no matter what. And that's when I was able to do that, and the people around me that know me the best. So You know, that's what it is. And think about it. Why wouldn't they, when you spend the most time with all these guys, you know, and some of us, you know, even more so, you know, because that's the thing, is the grind line was just as close as anything else, because it would always be Joey and I, and then Maltz and Drapes, and then we'd all hang out together, and there'd be Ozzy.
All right, Darren, one more question here. You know, talking about your relationship with these guys, obviously growing up as a family together, who is one player that people might be surprised to know, you know, had a big personality or was a big partier or
oh my God. No, the funniest guy, well, the two guys, I'm going to out the GM of the Montreal Canadiens, Mark Bergevin, as being one of the funniest teammates. I would say he is probably physical humor. He does some funny stuff, and he's a character and a great guy in the dressing room. And another guy, goalie, who might be the greatest third goalie of all time, Kevin Hodgson. I mean, I think Scotty kept him around because he was so great in the dressing room. And he would, like, he could imitate any goaltender in practice. So he was so funny because he'd be doing play-by-play as the play would be going on in practice. And, you know, like, Scotty, shut up, Ticker. You know, like, sorry, Scotty, you know, come on, Ticker's hot today. You know, like, I'm going to get him on the podcast, and I'm going to get Ozzy and Drapes on too, because it's just guys, like, our dressing room was young and old, but it was all together in different ways. So those guys were funny.
Speaking of goalies, you had some time playing with Dominic Hasek, and by all accounts, he's a bit of a quirky kind of guy.
He's a nut job, bro.
Give us something about him.
He's a lunatic, dude. He's a lunatic. Dude. He'd have us take slap shots in the slot at his head, and he'd be like heading them. Oh, hi. Oh, he was crazy, bro. He's the only guy I could ever see get a Gatorade towel around his waist. Fucking Skeletor. I mean, seriously, you see this guy a towel, and you wonder that he could take a step and break a bone. I mean, and then you see him out there, he's Gumby. Like, because I'll say, like, bar none, the greatest back-to-back goaltending display was Game 6 and 7 in the Western Conference Final in 2002. He shut Colorado out there 2-0 and home 7-0, and made everything. He was really good when he was on. Like, and he had his own style, but he practiced it. Like, he worked hard at it. But he was a lunatic.
All right. Grind Time with Darren McCarty. If you guys haven't heard it yet, you can find it wherever you get your podcasts. DarrenMcCarty.com as well to go check it out. Darren, like I mentioned, we owe you some chocolates. So next time we'll meet up in Detroit, and we'll do this one in person. Thank you so much for coming on today.
All right, boys. Reese's peanut butter cups, baby. Or if you're coming from Canada, you better bring some of that Aero chocolate over. I don't care who's got it. Don't pants it or anything. Just say you got a chocolate bar for D-Man.
We have our ways. We'll get it into America.
All right, Aero, right?
Aero.
Yeah, that's it.
How about that? So do you guys, like? And I don't realize it as much because they actually got ketchup chips over here now, but they still don't have Shreddies.
Oh, no?
And I don't know if I can find an Aero bar.
You
I don't know.
You might be the only person I know who's asking for Shreddies to be brought somewhere else.
Really?
Oh,
you guys don't like Shreddies?
I'm a big Shreddies guy.
Come on, man.
But...
Shreddies and brown sugar?
Oh, yeah, that's not bad.
You guys don't want to make it to the show, do you? God, that's it. Raisin Bran and Shreddies with brown sugar might have fueled like box after box.
Oh, that's why I didn't.
Fueled me when I was younger.
Not enough Shreddies.
Yeah. That's it, buddy.
Reese peanut butter cups,
all right,
Aero,
guys.
Shreddies. All right, thanks so much, Darren, and until next time.
You got it. All right,
Thanks,
guys.
Darren.
Thanks a lot.
Welcome back. That was Darren McCarty. grind line legend, Red Wings legend, 4-time Stanley Cup champion, and on my side about the offside argument.
More importantly, the messenger of God.
Just a great dude to talk to. Really.
That was the best answer to any question we've ever asked in an interview.
The messenger of God. I love it more than I can put into words.
I was talking to these guys after, and I was like, we were obviously going to talk about the Claude Lemieux thing, and I didn't think we were going to get anything new, stuff that people haven't heard
Yeah,
before.
because he's probably been asked that about Lemieux 1,000 times.
And he told us how he was just the messenger from the Lord.
That is
And my eyes got
amazing.
wide, and my smile has literally never been bigger in my life. I was like, that is the best thing I've ever heard. No, it was great connecting with Darren. We're pumped to do this in person in Detroit, so you guys should keep an eye out for that. Grind Time genuinely is a great show. I'm currently listening to the Draper interview, just wrapping that one up, and it's awesome. So check that one out. And yeah, looking forward to talking to him again, hoping to have some other very cool guests on soon. Won't say too much more than that, but maybe we'll have some more news on that soon. All right. Is there anything else that we want to talk to before we get into overtime?
Anything happen in the league that's worth talking about? In general? I don't know.
Yeah, let's talk about
Capo
the rest of the
Caco had
league.
his first goal.
Yeah, he
That
did.
was nice.
Yes.
I want to say something about New Jersey because they've sucked.
Are they the Cleveland Browns of the NHL?
Yes.
I'm going to hesitate.
It's October. Nothing makes sense.
I'm going to hesitate to talk too much about how bad New Jersey is because it makes us look bad because I predicted them to have a great year. But no, in all seriousness, this is a team with a lot of new players and a lot of new very good players, and it's going to take a while for them to mesh. Are they going to be a contending team? If they play like this, no, of course not. But
Just wait till they have one away game in Vegas. After that, they'll just go on a tear.
yeah, absolutely. That's all
Are
you
you talking about in Vegas or after Vegas?
After Vegas.
Okay.
Yeah. No, that's the kind of thing where you need to give them some time to mesh. John Hines is a good coach.
Does the NHL still do the bye weeks for each team? Do we have that this year?
I think so, because there's no Olympics or anything.
In a way, but they've kind of cut it back. I don't think it's as dramatic anymore because they had
Okay.
like 15-day breaks, and that was ridiculous.
That was only like a week.
You're only a week.
Yeah.
Don't de-dramatize what I say.
Yeah.
Elsewhere around the league, I don't know what else has been like really newsworthy.
There's been stuff, but nothing earth-shattering.
Pittsburgh lost all of their good players and got better.
Yeah, as they do.
That's a Pittsburgh effect, I think.
Carolina's a team of destiny.
Yeah, also.
Probably the
true.
most fun team in hockey right now.
Patrick Marleau played his first game the other night.
Yeah, he did really well,
Yeah.
which is awesome. I was not expecting that at all.
Successful debut.
He said he was
Again.
nervous. Can you imagine? That guy's has done almost everything in hockey.
Is there a
He's
more
nervous.
wholesome guy than Patrick Marleau in hockey?
There can't be. There might be, but I don't think there can be.
No, he's up there for sure. Ottawa sucks as usual.
Drake
Yeah.
Batherson had about 50 points in one game in there for Belleville.
Eugene Melnick, who was voted the worst owner in all of professional sports, which is hard to do when Dan Snyder owns a team.
I was gonna say that seems a little hyperbolic.
No, even knowing Snyder and James Dolan, it's probably still Melnick.
Yeah.
How can you be the worst when there's still the Redskins and the Indians?
Well, here's the thing.
Because they're what they do is just in poor taste. What Melnick's doing, there's
True.
actually like legality question marks.
Melnick had a deal for a brand new arena in the downtown core of a hockey metropolis, and he tanked it
The capital of a country.
for reasons, and that's the only reason I can think of. Just for
And now
reasons.
isn't the company suing him?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the deal's off. It's just a hole in the ground. The company, he's being sued. He countersued for like $1 trillion. I don't know. It's all a lot. I don't blame them for making that choice.
And apparently he has ties to Ukraine, which is a touchy subject.
Sorry,
these days.
what?
You didn't read the article?
No, send it to me.
I'm a headlines guy, Brad.
Buddy, that's where he made his money, they were saying. Like in the, I want to say it was pharmaceuticals. I read this like 2 weeks ago. I don't remember anything right now, but it like the first part, they didn't flat out accuse him of anything because obviously you can't because legal reasons. But
libel.
yeah, if you're reading between the lines there, it's not good.
someone.
So I don't know what's actually going on, but
someone from CBC put out an article, and I forget their name, which is bad of me, but it really clearly demonstrated how the fans are just done with this shit. Like
they had 9,000 fans at a game this year.
They're not going to games anymore, and I don't blame them.
Also, it's not even in Ottawa. Like, and the parking there is a disaster.
There's one major road in and out of into Canada. Like,
and Ubers won't come because they know how much of a pain that is. So they can't get anyone to pick them up.
Just fucking revive the arena deal. LeBret and Flats was exactly what that team needed. I don't understand it. If you're an owner and you want to make money, you're all about the money. Just make this arena deal. Cut it with the public funds. You're not going to get them. Do what you need to do. The value of your hockey franchise,
it would have blown up.
And he's already made a killing on this team. Blow up the value even further. Sell it before the arena is even built if you want. I don't care. The intrinsic value is going to go up.
Oh, yeah.
Cash out if you don't have the liquid funds to actually pay for it, and then you're done. And obviously, I'm no economics major.
I think they have like 4 very high-profile job openings that they can't fill. Like, I don't think they have a president of hockey operations.
They ceased the search for the time being because they can't find anyone.
Come on.
No one wanted to do it. They said they couldn't find anyone viable. No one wanted to do it. You know how many people said no?
That's a bad way of saying no one wants this job. Because everybody wants a job like that if you have any inkling in the hockey world.
Fine, I'll do it.
Good for you. Honestly, good for you.
I'm sure I'll make tens of thousands of dollars.
Maybe. We are going to get into overtime. Overtime is sponsored by Motor City Garages, a family-owned and operated business with over 25 years of experience in the custom garage interior industry. They offer multiple custom garage options, including epoxy flooring, module tile flooring, cabinets, overhead racks, wall storage, creating a viable fourth line for your NHL hockey team, and car lifts. They're servicing Metro Detroit area and have plans to expand. So, Motor City Garages, park in style. Patreon is where we read out our comments from fans, listeners around the world of hockey. We start off with Patreon supporters who have been absolutely amazing. Guys, there's another jersey giveaway soon because you crushed our goal of 200 patrons for this episode or for this podcast, so thank you. They get their comments read out on air as our way of saying thanks. Matt McKay says, "Good day, guys. What a start to the season. Got a fantasy question for you. If you could have any active NHL player in a wing sweater, who would it be?" Also, like on your fantasy team?
Wait, what?
If you could have
Red Wing?
any active NHL player in a wing sweater, who would it be?
Oh, who would I? Connor McDavid?
No. Oh, yeah.
Okay, I'm going to say for my fantasy team then. You go first, though, Ryan.
Got a fantasy...
By the way...
I don't understand that question. Like, are we saying on our fantasy team on the Red Wings?
From the players on your fantasy team, who would you most want to see?
Leon Draisaitl.
Mine is very relevant today. I would personally like to thank David Pastrnak this afternoon for his
I was wondering who had him.
4-goal performance, so I will take David Pastrnak.
Brad now knows what that feels like.
Right?
Yeah.
Catch up, Ryan.
Yeah, you're next.
Sorry.
Oh, man, that's tough for me.
Yeah, David Pastrnak. Do I go David Pastrnak or do I go Gary Price?
Pastrnak.
Yeah, contract matters.
Man.
Pastrnak.
Okay, I've got 2. Would you rather have Ryan O'Reilly or Mark Stone?
Mark Stone.
I
think Mark Stone's a top 5 player in the world right now.
Hey, I won last week.
Okay.
I did not. I won't say who I lost to.
I'll say Ryan O'Reilly.
Also, what did you think of Howard's failed center ice save the other night? Oh, let's talk about that. Okay, that was bad judgment by Howard, but you want to know why he hesitated? Because he wasn't expecting Madison Bowery to get burned so badly.
That was Mikheyev who scored, right?
Yeah.
He is sneaky fast.
Yeah, he is, but Bowery had a head start and wasn't even pivoting. He was already skating the right direction. He got toasted.
Mikheyev is a bajillion times faster than Bowie.
Interfere with him, you know?
You got to do the Hasek like pads into the skates and just let the guy fly. Yeah.
Thanks for all that you do. Love the show and hope it keeps growing. Cheers. Thank you, Matt. Craig Kibble says, "I've spent some time thinking about contracts lately, trying to come up with a different approach on how GMs could value talent. Here's what I came up with. Pay any forwards $1 million per 10 points. Defensemen get $2 million per 10 points. I didn't really have a great metric for goalies and decided to just stick to $9 million for a starter and backup. Here's our roster based on last year's stats. Larkin makes 7.3, Athanasiou 5.4, Mantha 4.8, Bertuzzi 4.7, Nielsen 3.5, and it goes down from there. Howard 5, Bernier 4. Based on this thought process, do you feel like this is a method that a GM could actually use to distribute contracts? I was amazed at how fair it was. GMs could take players' average over the course of their career to look at player progression and regression of point totals to adjust the metric. It won't be as clean as that, but like I don't think you're too far off the point in that a certain amount of goals or points will be awarded by so much, but then you still have to start adding conditions. Like you add comparables, you add how many of those points are goals, you add how many of them come on the power play, you add who their line mates were, when they happened in the season.
If you look at most GMs use something like this, and the teams that don't are the teams that overvalue intangibles, and those are the teams that are in cap hell right now.
Yeah. Joseph Craig's, this is one of those comments where they're just getting me to read something out. Hi, I'm Ryan Hanna, and I'm here to talk about the importance of the offsides review. We must have the S in offsides for the full effect of the review, because without it, you are just offside, and who needs a review for that? Offsides matter. Offsides, however, that we must have a review. Remember, I think that's a typo, something in hash marks. Offsides matter. This message is endorsed by Ryan Hanna. 2020 offsides. Well, I hate you. Thank you for that. I said happy birthday to you. I trusted you. Rowan says, "Good day, Dud Duds. After the horrors of the typhoon in Japan, the Rugby World Cup quarterfinals are now set. England versus Australia, New Zealand versus Ireland, Wales versus France, Japan versus South Africa. Pick the winners, a game show proudly brought to you by Stay Fresh Cheese Bags. When you're pulling guesses out of thin air, use Stay Fresh Cheese Bags so you don't go off sides with your biased." I hate you guys. All right,
Wales.
England versus Australia. Who wins?
Australia.
I'll go Australia.
They fear nothing when you see spiders like that.
New Zealand versus Ireland. The All Blacks.
New Zealand.
It has to be New Zealand. But I'll say Ireland just because heavy drinking culture. I appreciate that.
Wales versus France.
Wales.
France.
Wales. Japan versus South Africa.
Japan. I'm Team Chaos.
I like the Japan story, but I think South Africa takes it.
Sure.
Has Brad talked about his game yet where he allegedly had 1 goal, 1 assist, yet the score sheet says 2 goals? Apparently he was on the bench for one of the incorrectly listed goals, so that calls into question his others. Fair to say he didn't do a goal or an assist and is taking credit for scorer's errors.
Those are called ghost points, and those are what people live and die by.
I appreciated the ghost point that I got. The other 2 were legit. And the goal that I actually scored, it was nice, boys. It was a good one.
I was never an offensive defenseman when I played, and 1 year I only had 1 goal, and it came in the last game of the season, and it was a ghost point. I was definitely on the bench. They accidentally awarded me a goal.
Attaboy, Riley Shahan.
Can we please take a moment to appreciate the name of the team and mascot possibilities of the Milverton 4-wheel drives?
It's a quality team name.
Also, assuming he isn't waived, note down 23rd of November in the diary for the revenge game versus Tavistock. I assume there will be a WWP ticket giveaway for this game. Yeah, we'll actually pay you to go. And another blow to Brad. Elite scorer Darren Helm has 2-game goal streak, has double the amount of goals as Larkin, and has dragged that 4th line to relevancy. Is it too early to be talking about garnering a first-round pick and a prospect for Helm at the deadline?
It's never too soon.
Are you okay with him being traded?
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
No, they'll riot. Jersey time. This is a good one. Rank 'em. Vancouver Millionaires, Ottawa O Jersey, Devils Red and Green.
Oh, Ottawa O, Devils Red and Green, Vancouver Millionaires.
Oh, I have Devils Red and Green, Vancouver Millionaires, Ottawa O.
Oh, that Devils Red and Green is 6th on the list.
You don't like it? I don't know.
No, it's awful.
I think it's crisp.
I don't like the Millionaires jerseys. The word going through the V looks stupid.
You want to know my hot take? That's the best Vancouver throwback jersey.
You've had a lot of bad takes on here, Ryan.
No, look. The spaghetti skate jersey is objectively nice. I like it, but I can't get behind the logo. The logo to me it's only good based off nostalgia.
Small aside, since we're talking about Canucks jerseys, those jerseys they were wearing in the Saturday night game against Philly, those should be their permanents. Those were beautiful.
Just Your Average Teej says, well, I was going to ask a question about draft prospects, but I figured it might be too early for that. So let's just again appreciate this Zadina goal. Holy frick, that was a rocket. Can't wait to watch more of the AHL. Wanted to say you guys rock. Seeing you all at the meetup rocked. You guys are keeping me sane in the hardest part of my schooling right now. Anyway, stay fresh, cheese bags. Keep at it, Tej. It was great meeting you, man. And hope to see you at the next meetup. Ian Grant says, hey guys, I'll keep this short. Brad, you're going down this week in fantasy. That's all. Thanks for what you guys
That's
do.
what I'm playing?
Yeah.
Thank you, David Pasternak, because I'm currently kicking ass and haven't even had a goalie play yet.
Justin Klinsky says, boiled bread, offsides, go Pack, go. Oh, go Lions. I didn't realize what I was reading. Go Lions. That game starts in like 30 minutes. Mark Burnham says, hey boys, long time no comment, but I'm still here lurking. At the risk of being overly warm and fuzzy, I just want to say that you guys did a great job this offseason. Holy frick, it's almost like you know what you're doing now. Wish I could have made it to the meetup and home opener, but my girlfriend's brother rented a suite at the Tampa Bay Carolina game in Raleigh that afternoon and invited us down. Good game, 4-3 Carolina win in OT, and being in a suite for it was a cool experience. Carolina is a legit team, and that arena was loud. That is like the top of my list of arenas I want to go to.
Vegas is top of my list.
I would put Carolina right now and then Vegas. Don Mitchell says, please settle the debate. Which of the following players get inducted to the Hall of Fame? Marleau, Kessel, Chara, Bergeron.
Chara and Bergeron are locks.
Yeah, they're locks.
Marleau, again, if he breaks the all-time games played record, I'd say yes, but again, it's not the Hall of Very Good, but hell, if Guy Carbonneau can get in. Kessel, it depends how long he can keep up this point trajectory. I think he's got a better chance than people give him credit for.
I think he's super close. He may not be first ballot, but I honestly think Phil will be in the Hall of Fame.
I think it's the same thing. If he continues, has a couple more 30, 40 goal seasons, you can't ignore that. He has his cups. He has the goals. There was like a decade streak where he was the highest scoring player in the NHL. Like not every season, but like cumulative.
I'm excited for the debate because generally the people who hate Phil Kessel are the same people who overvalue Stanley Cups when talking about Hall of Famers, and Kessel has multiple.
Mm-hmm. So
the inner debate will be fantastic.
Let's have a little more fun. What will the Wings record be this week? At Vancouver, at Calgary, at Edmonton. I'll give them a 1-2.
We're gonna finish 1-1-1.
Yeah, that's what I was going with. 1-1-1.
Thanks, boys. Don. And I'm going to get back to Don in just 1 second here, actually. Joseph Fournier says, stay fresh cheese bags. In regard to the long Patreon comments, I'm an adamant supporter of freedom of speech, and I'm totally opposed to character limits because... Bastard. He cut off his comment to make it look like I censored him. No, I went...
That is some next level trolling. I love it.
That is actually one of the best ones. No, I went into the Discord after to chat with you guys, and it wasn't an idea that like we were set on, and you guys like made it clear, like you're like, no, you love connecting with Patreon comments, and sometimes they'll be longer. So yeah, like we're not going to cut those off. We love that this is a problem that we're having. So
I'm just going to cut you off.
Yeah, it's going to be a problem that we're going to keep having because we love you guys and you're what makes the show. Talking about Don Mitchell, he brought us this gift at the meetup, and it was this beautiful wood carving of Gordie Howe's signature. You won't see it in the YouTube videos now, but once we have the studio set up, we're going to feature it either on the table or in the background.
It's sweet.
It is absolutely awesome. I was just like, I was speechless.
I've never seen anything like that before, so it's super unique. And it's very, very well done.
Yeah. And then I asked him about it, and he told me the whole story behind it, and I had him email me so I can read it out. In the fall of 2017, and this is from Don's perspective, my father had a severe heart attack that required him to have quadruple bypass operation. Odds of survival weren't great, but thankfully he pulled through and is still with me today. However, with successful surgery and rehab time in a hospital room, there comes hospital bills. Once home, he couldn't go back to work right away and became stir crazy, not being able to do much without feeling exhausted. He's a retired FAA air traffic controller and a U.S. Navy veteran that took an interest in sports and working with wood. He practiced woodworking for around 20 years and became pretty darn good at it. For Christmas, I came up with a gift idea for my friend. I tried to take the autograph on my signed Yzerman jersey and create a stencil for my father to attempt to cut out, not knowing if he'd be able to willing or able to try. He was so bored that he jumped on the opportunity and created a gorgeous Steve Yzerman autographed out of American oak. My friend loved it so much that he posted on social media, and almost instantly he had comments demanding to know where and how they could get one. Fortunately, through word of mouth and social media, we used the money raised to slowly eat away at hefty medical bills. They have a Facebook page, guys, called Timbergraphs, one word. Check us out. Give us our page a like.
How do you spell graphs? Is it Graft or graphs as in like a graph?
Graph, like Graphs.
Okay.
Look up Timbergraphs, and there's some awesome ones. There's the number 5 made up out of all the 5 autographs of the Russian 5 players, which is like, I'm looking at it and it is beautiful. We have the Gordie Howe that he gave us, or Gordie Howe one that he gave us. There's Steve Yzerman. There's Sidney Crosby. Like, they do a bunch of these, and they're all absolutely gorgeous. There's Lidstrom.
Yeah, those are sweet.
Yeah, and we have a Gordie one. Guys, go check out Timbergraphs. Message Don for sure to get one of these things. We're going to feature it in our episodes, and we're also going to be giving these away in the future. It's for a good cause, and Don's a great person. We met him. He was one of the winners of our ticket giveaway, so that was absolutely awesome.
Yep. Any little thing we can do to help, we are more than on board with that.
All right. That was this week's episode. I hope you guys enjoyed everything. I hope you enjoyed the interview with Darren McCarty. I can't wait for the next time when we're going to have him in person. It's going to be way better because he's going to be chock full of
Reese's and Arrow.
Yeah.
And Shreddies with brown sugar.
And we won't have a time limit to cut him off for. So thank you all for tuning in.
4-hour episode.
Yeah, it will be.
And I'm here for it.
In the middle of you and Darren talking, I showed Evan my phone and I had typed out, imagine a podcast with just Darren and Brad. It would never end.
No, it wouldn't. And it would just be two people interrupting each other the entire time.
This is the song that never... Hey, I don't think I interrupted Darren once this time.
No, because he dominates the air.
Yeah, there was times like we would pause and we're like, and then he kept going. We're like, okay, good thing we didn't say anything.
Yeah. We want to thank our name level sponsors, Sky Carcass, Luke Johnson, Arjun Shanker, Clayton Van Dyken, Mike Reed, Langabeer, Matthew M. Rice, Sean Levine, Matt McKay, Kaylin Wood, Jacob Turner, brand new name level sponsor. Welcome. Charlie Elkins, John Evans, Antonio Lupu, Ian Bush, new name level sponsor. Welcome to the Dub family. Rob Thiel, Craig Kibble, Stan Olson, Ryan Lewis, Mike DiLoretto. I believe Craig is also a new name level sponsor. Hannah Lee, Simon Anderson. Welcome all. Did I say Ryan Lewis? Thank you all so much for your support. Jersey giveaway coming soon, guys. Hope you enjoyed the Darren McCarty interview, and we will see you on Thursday.
Thanks for tuning in to the Winged Wheel Podcast. Be sure to check out wingedwheelpodcast.com, where you can subscribe to the show on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. You'll also find links to other ways to support the show, such as Patreon, official podcast apparel, and more. And don't forget to follow the show on Twitter at Winged Wheel Pod. And of course, the hosts at Brad Crisco, at Ryan Hanna WWP, and at Hockey Town Evan.